The desperate call. The bridge of the alien vessel Harmony's light trembled as another energy blast struck its weakening shields. Captain Vel looked at the tactical display with growing fear. 3 massive warships from the Hive Collective surrounded his peaceful research ship, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. "Captain, our shields are down to 20%, reported his communications officer, Kira. Her blue skin had turned pale with stress. "The Hive ships are charging their main cannons." Vel's 4 arms moved quickly across his control panel. The Galactic Council had always been protected by their advanced technology and peaceful nature. They had never faced an enemy like the Hive Collective, a race of insect-like beings who consumed entire worlds and enslaved other species. "Send out the emergency signal," Vel ordered. "Broadcast on all frequencies. We need help from anyone who can fight." The message went out across space, reaching dozens of civilized worlds. Most species in the galaxy were like Vel's people, peaceful, advanced, but not built for war. They had forgotten how to fight during their thousands of years of peace. On the jungle world of Tasca, the peaceful Terry people received the message and shook their heads sadly. They were healers, not warriors. The crystal beings of Nexus Prime felt sorry, but could only offer to hide refugees in their caves. The floating cities of Arian sent their regrets. They had no weapons that could help. But the signal traveled further than expected. It reached a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy, a world that most civilized species avoided. The locals called it Earth, and it was marked in galactic databases as a Class 12 death world, a planet so dangerous that it was amazing anything could survive there. The humans who received the message were different from any species the galaxy had met. They came from a world where everything tried to kill them, from tiny bacteria to massive predators, from poison plants to deadly weather. Earth had forced its children to become something unique, survivors who could fight. General Hayes read the distress signal at the military base. Unlike the peaceful aliens, humans had never stopped preparing for war. They understood that sometimes violence was the only way to protect the innocent. "Get me Admiral Chen on the line," Hayes ordered, "and wake up the Special Forces teams. Looks like someone out there needs Earth's help." Within hours, 3 human warships launched from Earth's orbital stations, the UES Defiance, UES Retribution, and UES Last Stand, headed toward the coordinates in the distress signal. These ships were built for war, designed by a species that had learned to survive on the most dangerous world in the galaxy. Back on the Harmony's light, Captain Vel watched his shields fail completely. "Any response to our distress call?" he asked desperately. "Yes, Captain," Kira replied, confusion in her voice. "We're getting a response from, it says here, Sol's system. The beings call themselves humans, and they say help is coming." Vel had never heard of humans before. No civilized species had much contact with the creatures from the death world called Earth. But right now, he would take help from anyone. The Hive ships moved closer, ready to board and capture the peaceful aliens. Their insect commanders clicked their mandibles in satisfaction. Another easy victory for the collective. They had no idea that Earth's Deathworlders were coming. First contact. The Hive Collective ships were preparing to board the Harmony's light when new contacts appeared on their sensors. 3 unknown vessels dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, moving at speeds that made the insect commanders pause. "Unknown ships, this is Captain Vel of the research vessel Harmony's Light." The alien broadcast came through. "Are you the humans who responded to our distress call?" Aboard the lead human ship Defiance, Captain Miller looked at the tactical display. 3 massive enemy vessels surrounded a smaller ship that was clearly outgunned. The situation was simple: bullies picking on someone smaller. "This is Captain Miller of the United Earth ship Defiance," he replied. "We receive your call for help. Stand by." The Hive commander on the largest enemy ship, War Leader Zex, studied the approaching human vessels. They were smaller than his ships, but moved with purpose. He had never encountered this species before. Unknown vessels, you are interfering with Hive collective operations, Zex transmitted. Leave now or be destroyed. Captain Miller's response was calm and cold. Negative. You're attacking a peaceful research vessel. Stand down and withdraw, or we will consider you hostile. Zex clicked his mandibles in amusement. These humans seemed to think 3 small ships could challenge the might of the Hive collective. You dare threaten us? We will add your ships to our fleet and your species to our slave worlds. Wrong answer, Miller said quietly. The human ships moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of the slow, careful movements of civilized species, they struck fast and hard. The Defiance opened fire with weapons that sent streams of metal at impossible speeds. The Retribution launched missiles that twisted and turned through space. The Last Stand used energy beams that cut through armor like it was paper. The first Hive ship shields collapsed in seconds. The aliens in the galaxy had weapons designed to disable, not destroy. Humans had weapons designed to kill. Impossible. Zex roared as his ship shook under the human attack. How are they so fast? So aggressive? His tactical officer, a smaller insect named Kex, studied the readings with growing fear. War leader, their ships are built differently. No luxury spaces, no comfort areas. Everything is designed for fighting. And their weapons, they're made to cause maximum damage. Captain Vel watched in amazement as the human ships tore into their attackers. Kira, are you getting readings on those human vessels? Yes, Captain, Kira replied, her voice filled with shock. Their ships are incredible. No diplomatic quarters, no science labs, no art galleries. Just weapons, armor, and life support. It's like their entire civilization is built for war. The second Hive ship tried to retreat, but the Retribution was already there, cutting off its escape. Human ships didn't just fight. They hunted. They moved like the predators they had evolved from on their deadly world. This is War Leader Zex of the Hive Collective. The Insect Commander broadcast on all frequencies. We demand to know what species you are. What world creates such violent beings? Captain Miller's voice came back, steady and matter-of-fact. We're from Earth, Sol system, 3rd planet from the star. There was silence as the Hive ships accessed their databases. When the information came back, Zex felt something he had never experienced before. True fear. A Class 12 death world. Kex whispered. War leader, they come from a Class 12 death world. No civilized species goes to such places. The radiation, the gravity, the predators, the diseases. Everything on their planet tries to kill them, another officer added. And they survived. They became the apex predators of an apex predator world. Zex realized his terrible mistake. He had attacked a peaceful research vessel, not knowing that it would bring the galaxy's most dangerous species down on his head. The Hive Collective conquered through fear and overwhelming numbers. But humans came from a world where being feared meant being hunted. The 3rd Hive ship exploded as human weapons found its reactor core. The Harmony's light drifted safely as Earth's warriors finished their work. The galaxy learns fear. The remaining 2 Hive ships hung dead in space, their hulls torn open by human weapons. War Leader Zex's flagship was crippled, life support failing as emergency lights flickered in the darkness. For the first time in his species' history, a Hive commander was considering surrender. This is Captain Miller, came the human voice over the communications. Hive vessels, you have 30 seconds to abandon your ships before we finish you off. Zex looked at his bridge crew. Half were dead, the others wounded and terrified. His ship's mighty weapons were destroyed. His armor was cracked. The proud Hive Collective, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was beaten by 3 ships from an unknown species. We surrender, Zex transmitted, the words bitter in his mouth. Smart choice, Miller replied. Launch your escape pods. Any ship that tries to run will be destroyed. As the Hive survivors flood in their small pods, Captain Vel opened a channel to the human ships. Captain Miller, I cannot thank you enough. You saved our lives and our research. Just doing our job, Miller said simply. Though I have to ask, why didn't your people fight back? Your ship has some kind of defensive systems. Vel was quiet for a moment. How could he explain to these warriors that his people had forgotten how to fight? Captain, my species has lived in peace for over 3,000 years. We build our ships for exploration, not combat. We study stars and planets, not warfare. On the bridge of the Defiance, Miller exchanged glances with his crew. 3,000 years of peace. On Earth, humans couldn't go 3 months without some kind of conflict somewhere. That must be nice, Miller said finally, but dangerous if someone like the Hive shows up. Indeed, Vel agreed. We sent distress calls to dozens of worlds. Only your people responded with military aid. Lieutenant Ross, Miller's tactical officer, checked her sensors. Captain, I'm picking up more ships approaching. Multiple contacts, various configurations. Through space came the ships of the Galactic Council, the elegant crystal vessels of the Nexus beings, the flowing organic ships of the Terry Healers, and dozens of other peaceful species. They had come to help with rescue and medical aid, as they always did after conflicts. But when they saw the destroyed Hive ships and the small human fleet, they stopped dead in space. By the sacred crystals, whispered Captain Nira of the Nexus ship Peaceful Dawn. What happened here? Those Hive vessels are completely destroyed. The humans did this, Vel reported over the general channel. 3 ships defeated the entire Hive attack force. Silence filled the communications. The assembled species had all heard of Deathworlders, planets so hostile that they were avoided by all civilized life. But none had imagined that anything living on such worlds could build starships and travel through space. Dr. Tam of the Tari medical vessel spoke first. Humans, we offer medical assistance to any wounded on your ships. Appreciate the offer, Doc, Miller replied. But we don't have any wounded. More silence. The peaceful species exchanged worried glances. No wounded? In a battle against 3 Hive warships. Captain Nira found her voice. Forgive me, Captain Miller, but our sensors show significant weapons fire occurred here. How is it possible that you have no casualties? Miller's answer was matter of fact. We hit them before they could hit us. Basic tactics. The concept was alien to the assembled species. Their idea of conflict resolution involved negotiation, compromise, and careful defensive actions. The human approach, strike first, strike hard, strike to kill, was something they had never encountered. Captain Miller, Vel said carefully, would it be possible for some of your people to meet with our council representatives? We would like to learn more about your species and perhaps discuss mutual assistance. Miller considered this. The humans had been alone in the galaxy for so long, making contact through radio signals and deep space probes. Meeting other intelligent species was an opportunity Earth couldn't pass up. We can arrange a meeting, Miller agreed. But I should warn you, humans aren't like other species you've met. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. It made us different. Elder Koth of the Council ship Wisdom's Path spoke up. We understand, Captain Miller. We wish to learn about your people and share knowledge. What the peaceful aliens didn't understand was that they had just invited the galaxy's apex predators to the table. Humans hadn't just survived on Earth. They had conquered it. Every other species on their homeworld either served humans, hid from humans, or was extinct. Now these Deathworlders were loose in the galaxy, and they had just proven they could destroy anyone who threatened the innocent. A Hive collective had wanted easy prey. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. In the escape pods drifting through space, War Leader Zex sent a desperate message back to the Hive homeworld. Do not engage the humans. Repeat, do not engage the species from Sol system. They are not prey. They are the hunters. Understanding the hunters. The meeting took place aboard the Council ship Wisdom's Path, in a chamber designed for peaceful negotiations. soft lighting, comfortable seating, and walls that showed calming images from various homeworlds. It was meant to put everyone at ease. The humans who entered changed the entire atmosphere. Captain Miller led a small team of officers into the chamber. They moved differently than any species the Council had met. Alert, scanning for threats, positioning themselves with clear lines of sight to all exits. Even in a peaceful meeting, they were ready for war. Elder Koth, the ancient leader of the Galactic Council, studied the humans with curiosity. They were bipedal like many species, but there was something predatory about their movements. Their eyes, forward-facing like hunters, not side-mounted like prey animals. "Welcome, humans of Earth," Koth said in his gentle voice. "We are honored to meet a new species. Please, sit and be comfortable." Miller and his team sat, but their posture remained alert. The other species around the table noticed that the humans kept their hands free and their backs to walls. Even in friendship, they were prepared for betrayal. "Thank you for the welcome," Miller replied. "We're glad to finally meet other intelligent life in the galaxy." Captain Vell leaned forward. "Captain Miller, we must ask, how did your people become so effective in warfare? Your ships, your tactics, your weapons, they're unlike anything we've seen." Miller exchanged glances with his team. How could he explain humanity's history to beings who had known only peace? "Earth is not a kind world," Miller began. "Our planet has weather that can kill. Storms with winds that destroy cities, ice ages that last for centuries, heat waves that turn forests into fire. We have diseases that can wipe out millions, predators that hunt in packs, and even our plants can be deadly." The peaceful aliens listened in growing horror. Dr. Tam of the Terry spoke up. "Surely such a world could not support intelligent life." "It didn't just support us," said Lieutenant Ross. "It made us. Every day on Earth was a fight to survive. We learned to hunt, or we died. We learned to fight, or we died. We learned to work together against common threats, or we all died." Elder Koth's eyes widened. "Your entire evolution was shaped by constant warfare." "Not just warfare," Miller corrected. "Survival. But yes, fighting was part of it. We fought the environment, we fought predators, we fought diseases, and unfortunately, we fought each other." Captain Nira of the Crystal Beings looked confused. "You fought your own species." The humans were quiet for a moment. This was the hardest part to explain to peaceful beings. "Yes," Miller said finally. "For resources, for territory, for beliefs. We've had thousands of wars throughout our history. It taught us harsh lessons about conflict." "How terrible," whispered Dr. Tam. "Your people must be traumatized by such violence." Lieutenant Commander Blake, Miller's second officer, spoke up. "It wasn't all terrible. War taught us things that peace never could. We learned to be loyal to our allies, to protect the innocent, to sacrifice for others. We learned that freedom has to be defended, that bullies need to be stopped." The council members struggled to understand. In their peaceful worlds, conflicts were resolved through discussion and compromise. The idea of using violence to protect others was foreign to them. "But surely," said Elder Koth, "now that you have advanced technology and space travel, you have moved beyond such primitive behaviors." Miller almost smiled. "Elder, we stopped the Hive from destroying Captain Vell's ship. Would you have preferred we negotiated while they killed innocent researchers?" The question hung in the air. The peaceful species had no answer because they had no solution for truly evil enemies. Captain Vell spoke quietly. "The humans are right. We sent distress calls to 47 worlds. Only Earth responded with the force needed to save us. Because," Miller continued, "sometimes the only way to stop evil is with violence. We learned that lesson the hard way over thousands of years of history." Dr. Tam looked troubled. "But violence breeds violence. How do you prevent your aggressive nature from consuming you?" "We direct it," said Lieutenant Ross. "We fight to protect, not to conquer. We learn to tell the difference between necessary violence and pointless cruelty." The meeting continued for hours. The council learned about human history, the wars, the struggles, the gradual development of ideas like honor, duty, and sacrifice. They learned about human concepts like warrior codes and rules of war, the idea that even in violence, there could be principles. Most shocking to the peaceful aliens was learning that humans actually celebrated their warriors. On their worlds, fighters were seen as primitive or disturbed. On Earth, soldiers were honored as protectors of civilization. As the meeting ended, Elder Koff asked one final question. "Captain Miller, what do your people want from the galaxy?" Miller's answer was simple: to explore, to learn, to make friends, and if necessary, to fight alongside those friends against common enemies. The council members looked at each other. They had asked for help and received it, but they had also unleashed something new into their peaceful galaxy. A species that could fight and win, that saw violence as a tool rather than a failure. Outside the meeting chamber, the rescued Hive prisoners were being questioned. Their message was consistent: don't fight the humans. They are death itself. The galaxy was about to learn what having protectors really meant. The new Guardians. 6 months after first contact, the galaxy had changed in ways no one expected. The news of humanity's victory over the Hive Collective spread quickly through civilized space. Species that had lived in fear of the insect raiders for decades suddenly had hope. The Hive, meanwhile, had pulled back to their core systems, too afraid to venture into areas where humans might be patrolling. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the newly constructed Earth's Shield, humanity's first diplomatic vessel. Unlike the purely military ships that had first encountered the aliens, this one was designed for both war and peace. It carried weapons that could destroy enemy fleets, but also medical bays, science labs, and meeting rooms for negotiations. "Admiral," reported Commander Harris, "we're receiving another request for assistance. The mining colonies in the Outer Rim are under attack by raiders." Chen nodded. It was the 5th request this week. Word had gotten out that humans would fight to protect the innocent, and suddenly every peaceful species in the galaxy was calling for Earth's help. "Set course for the Outer Rim," Chen ordered, "and signal the Vigilance and Guardian to meet us there." The human fleet had grown rapidly. Earth's shipyards worked around the clock, building vessels designed specifically for galactic defense. Each ship carried a mixed crew: humans for combat operations and alien specialists for diplomacy, medicine, and science. On the peaceful world of Nexus Prime, Captain Nira met with her government's council. The crystal beings were discussing humanity's growing influence in the galaxy. "They have established what they call patrol routes through our space," reported Defense Minister Cole. 3 human ships pass through our system every week. "And crime has dropped to 0, added Security Chief Ran. "Pirates, raiders, smugglers, they all avoid any area where humans might appear." Elder Nira considered this. "Are we becoming dependent on them?" "Perhaps," Cole admitted. "But is that necessarily bad? Our people can focus on art, science, and philosophy, while the humans handle the ugly necessity of violence." It was a common discussion across the galaxy. The peaceful species were grateful for human protection, but worried about what it meant for their independence. Meanwhile, on Earth, the government faced its own challenges. General Hayes met with the Global Defense Council to discuss humanity's new role. "We're spread thin," Hayes reported. "Every species in the galaxy wants human protection, but we only have so many ships and crews." President Martinez studied the galactic map. "What's the solution?" "We train them," Hayes replied. "Not to be warriors like us. They don't have our background for that. But we can teach them basic defense, show them how to fight back against raiders and bullies." The human training programs began on dozens of worlds. Human instructors worked with alien security forces, teaching them tactics, weapon use, and most importantly, the mindset needed to fight back against aggression. The results were mixed but encouraging. The peaceful aliens would never be warriors like humans, but they learned to defend themselves. More importantly, they learned that sometimes violence was necessary to protect innocent life. Captain Vell, now commanding a new research vessel called Harmony's Hope, participated in one such training exercise. His crew practiced emergency procedures while human officers showed them how to use their ship's defensive systems effectively. "Remember," instructed Lieutenant Ross, who had become a training specialist, "you're not trying to win a war. You're trying to survive long enough for help to arrive." It was a practical approach that worked well for the peaceful species. They didn't need to become killers. They just needed to stay alive until the humans arrived. The Hive Collective, meanwhile, had learned harsh lessons about humanity. War Leader Zex, now reduced to commanding a single patrol ship, reported to the Hive Council about human capabilities. "They have established a network across the galaxy," Zex reported. "Any aggressive action brings immediate human response. They do not negotiate with raiders or conquerors. They simply destroy them." The Hive Council, a group of ancient insect queens, considered this information. "Then we avoid human-protected space," declared the senior queen. "We find worlds beyond their reach." But human reach was growing every day. Earth's exploration ships pushed deeper into unknown space, establishing contact with new species and offering protection to those who needed it. The galaxy had found its guardians, and the guardians had found their purpose. In the end, the peaceful species had asked for help against the Hive Collective. What they received was something far more valuable: protectors who would stand between them and any threat that emerged from the darkness of space. The humans, meanwhile, had found something they had searched for throughout their history, a cause worth fighting for that united their entire species. They were no longer just survivors from a death world. They were the galaxy's shield against chaos. And in the deep space monitoring stations that humans had built throughout civilized space, sensors watched constantly for new threats. The galaxy slept peacefully, knowing that Earth's Deathworlders stood guard. The age of easy conquest was over. Any species that wanted to prey on the innocent would first have to face humanity. And humanity had spent millions of years learning how to win.